Blog Talk Radio.
1, 2. Check me out right here, yo. Need to turn the track up a little bit for me. All up in my ears. The mic is loud, but the music is loud. Yeah. Now the mic is low now. Turn the mic up low. My shit's all the way up. Yeah. Music is loud. That's what I'm talking about. That's in the wild out.
Hello and welcome to Blog Talk Radio. This is your host, Suarez. Today we're having Comrade Tommy, who has an announcement for us in regards to Occupy RNC. He should be calling in at any moment. I'm going to open up the chat box, and at some point in the show we're going to allow callers as well in case they have any questions in regards to the second episode from my page on Occupy RNC. For those of you that aren't familiar with Occupy RNC, it is not Occupy Tampa, but it is Occupy the Republican National Convention, which will be in Tampa in August this year, which will be quite an event that we're going to be covering, taking part in with the protests. Okay, the chat box is now in the process of being opened. Okay, it's now opened. And I don't see anybody in the chat box quite yet. I do see we have a caller in. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes. So, just to introduce ourselves, I'm Comrade Tommy with Comrade Al, and we're the founders of Occupy RNC. And now, what we were going to talk about tonight, we were just talking about on Facebook. I don't know how far you got into the show yet, but did you want to talk a little about the lottery for the permits?
Well, yeah, I said that we had an announcement in regards to Occupy RNC.
Yeah, no, well, I was just reading up on it. Basically, excuse me, it was put out by the Tampa Bay Times, but supposedly what they did, and it was kind of low-key, is that you had to apply for a permit in order to be able to protest the RNC, and the permit was based on a lottery. So people's, game of chance, quote-unquote, you had a game of chance to be able to actually, go ahead and protest, the Republican National Convention, which, at least in my opinion, is bullshit. And, I think you and I were talking about what,
Active. Somebody calls themselves an activist. I mean, let's face it, these are Democrats. These are democratically financed unions. These are the same guys that sent out a bunch of occupiers from their camps to go to D.C. while their camps are being shut down. I mean, these guys, they're not revolutionaries. They're reformers. No. They're liberals. They're not real leftists. They're not real people for change. And they're opportunists, So they're not going to go in their communities and protest the Democrats or the Democratic Convention or what they're doing, what Obama's doing. So it's a perversion that, they're going to ask for permission to protest. I mean, what's the point of civil disobedience protests? You got to follow the rules.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you're the first one who sticks out like most prevalently is called Service Employee International Union, which we all know as SEIU. Now, SEIU in Washington has a big, overture to like the Occupy movement and their thing.
I know,
but basically,
I went to D.C. funded by SEIU Boston, and then we heard they were going to close our camp down, and we left early.
Yeah, and it's the same thing in Miami. I mean, the main sneaky bastards that were in Miami were those getting paid, and I use the word paid because they were being paid by SEIU. Yep. Now, I have nothing against SEIU personally, but God damn it, get out of our revolution, If you're using it to get financial gain, which it is, it's not for the common good, it's for the private interest.
People take part in civil disobedience at K Street in D.C., like the occupiers did. Many people were arrested. Very few, if any, of SEIU people took part in that protest.
Yes, And that's the same thing. Like, for example, if people watch the eviction notice of Occupy Miami, there's this lowlife name by the name of Muhammad Malik, one of my main adversaries there. Now, Muhammad Malik works for SCIU. Muhammad Malik was on television trying to negotiate, quote unquote, with the chief of police for Miami-Dade, police force or police department. And then 5 minutes later, he's there enticing people to bounce off police shields, while everybody else who did it, almost basically either got arrested or brutalized. This little jackass, nothing happened to him, because these are provocateurs that come into the Occupy movement and fuck it up. And when it doesn't serve its purpose, they want to close camps down, saying it's because the police sent in rapists or drunks and all this. Well, the majority of the time, it's these people that ruin and Occupy. And I don't care who it is. It's not being mean to SCIU, by itself. There's plenty of these private interest groups. But hey, this is just as bad, if not in anything, of trying to have trying to have money in politics. This is corporate personhood in a fucking revolution, and it has no place in it.
Well, it's the counter-revolution, because these people are coming in to Tampa, we're going to take over this or that park. I mean, these people don't even know Tampa. Most of them, have never even been to this city. I mean, we're on the ground here. We're starting this right now, So if they really want to find activists that are around here that don't care about asking for permission, they got to get in touch with guys like us. They got to get over to Ybor.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. Yeah, and here's the thing. Now I'm looking at the board, and I see there's a couple of beautiful places. Now me and Kamanal are, working out the finer points of the strategy of where we're going to be at. But here's the thing, people. Looking at the clean zone map, I finally got something beautiful. Here's the boundaries, at least with the city sets. I think the Secret Service is probably going to have twice the size of the clean zone, except the difference is the Secret Service is not going to announce it. That's where they get to have NDAA in effect. But there is
that's the secret part of their service.
Yeah, exactly. But there's this whole stretch in front of Tampa General Hospital. There's this whole stretch along the riverbanks. Now, hey, these bastards can try to close this in. But, for example, all Davis Island is open. All the industrial parks outside the city are open. All of the things on the north end of I-4 are open, as well as all the stuff north of 275, just north of the downtown on, on Morgan, North Florida Avenue, Tampa Street, which is heavily industrial, and plus the river. Now remember, they can try to fuck with you if you're in downtown Tampa in the clean zone, but these rat bastards cannot screw with you if you're in the waterway. I mean, unless you're blocking or causing a disruption of maritime
we have an Occupy the Armada?
Yes, that's what we're rolling out with, the Occupy RNC Armada. Now
I'm
here's
not sure
the thing.
About that.
It's coming. Hey, there's already one boat ready, so we're just waiting for comrades to get their boats. And hey, you know what? By the end of this, you have to remember we're in Tampa Bay. Now, here's the thing for people to roll out. I mean, I don't care if people support Obama, if they support Nader, or whoever the hell they support, as long as they don't support these jackasses that these fascist Monacos that are trying to come in, and just take the country by storm again, and have a worse thing as Bush.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second.
Yes, Carmen, put me on hold.
Yeah.
Al is currently taking other calls at the moment. He will be right back on the line. Occupy the NRC because it's good for you. At least this is what democracy looks like, people. And now, while we're waiting for Comrade Al, remember, people, Occupy RNC, because you know what? When the Republicans own a city and it's only the price tag of $50 million, that's always a bad thing. But remember, SCIU sucks. Doctors of America sucks. Planned Parenthood is cool, but they shouldn't be putting their liberty in the hands of random chance because the city attorney says so. Never sell yourself out short just because the system told you to. More disgruntled, dissident talk in a moment. Do 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 do. Waiting for Comrade Al. In any case, I'll continue on. Comrade Al's coming back. There he is. I knew it. I heard him.
Right. Were you talking to our listeners while I was absent?
Yes, I was momentarily talking to him. I let it go into a void for a second, but hit it up. What do you think about these major corporations basically just selling themselves out? Because we have Pray for Tampa Bay, March on the RNC, Mourning in America, Doctors America, Planned Parenthood, March Against Voter Suppression, Spontaneous Gatherings, which I don't know what the hell Spontaneous Gatherings is, but that's in the sequel.
I didn't put the music on again because I figured that while I was gone for a couple minutes that you'd be talking to our listeners because...
No, of course, comrade. The only thing is they will have Spontaneous Gatherings over in front of the county building. Now, what the hell that means, I'm not sure, but Spontaneous Gatherings at least means that, they're going to have random stuff on there. So, what's your thoughts about...
Spontaneity is all part of protest. Mm-hmm. Everything can be planned. There will be a reaction from the state, and we'll have to be ready to act in spontaneous ways at times in those protests.
As revolutionaries, though, you know what the most beautiful thing is? Just exercising your freedom of speech. I tell this to people. You don't have to have a fucking sign with you. You don't have to have anything. In Cuba and different places where I work with human rights activists, even in Venezuela, they just roll out there and they just start screaming. What are these totalitarian bastards going to do? Arrest us?
They don't even need a mic check or a loudspeaker.
No.
They just yell, and they don't need a sign either, as you said.
No.
And they are able to protest and express themselves quite well over there.
This land is your land, this is my land, from the California to the New York Islands. The way to screw with these fascist bastards.
Too. In chants and protests, you don't need a mic check for a chant. You have all the people yelling the same chant and the same message, which is quite clear. This is what a police state looks like. If there's going to be a military presence, that's one hell of a chant right there.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, you and I saw that they're breaking out, the big guns. They're not going to go soft core on this. These fascists have plans to use the actual United States military against their own people. This is unseemly, unheard of, and otherwise unconstitutional. It's a violation of the Poris Cormeus, which actually means
Mm-hmm.
possession with military, which you're never supposed to do. And the basis of that law is based on Sulla, occupying Rome.
By the way, is this show going to go on? Is this show going to go on YouTube as well, like your show?
Yes, this one as well as the other RNCs we're doing right now. Comrade Al and I are Occupy RNC at YouTube, so it's youtube.com/users/Occupy RNC. And I'm sorry to tell all these people, but the Occupy is a free movement, and we're allowed to actually create our own Occupy. We're the organizers.
Like some others who think that we don't have our rights of free speech because we don't always, follow their line, whatever their line is. Their line's not very clear right now. First, they didn't want to protest RNC. Then they want to protest outside the clean zone. We don't care about clean zone. Revolutionaries, they don't follow the rules when the rules are unjust.
Exactly. Hey, check it like this. Did the Bolsheviks follow the rules when they were going against the whites? Did any major revolution over the last 300 years, even the French Revolution or the American Revolution, remember George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, all these people that founded the United States of America were considered traitors by the totalitarian regime of George II. But that in the history books is quite contrary to what the reality is, because they were patriots. Revolutionaries in the truest sense of the word are always patriots because they're fighting for their country's survival. You see?
Hold on, we got a question in the chat box from somebody, and they're asking, what is the clean zone?
Oh, okay. Hey,
now with all the shows on. Occupy RNC, they know what a clean zone is already. But,
okay.
You know more about the technicalities, Tommy. That's more your field. If you want to answer them on that.
Okay, I'll give you the clean zone from what the city attorney of Tampa and the mayor Buckley or Buckhorn, whatever his name is. The definition of what the clean zone is the clean zone is an instituted, a specified area specifically put aside for the Republican National Convention. Now, that specified, quote-unquote, area expands 25 square miles of the downtown, which means that any person or any group or any entity that is found within that 25 square mile area, and now this is not the Secret Service security, but rather just the clean zone, those persons are subject to immediate arrest and detention by law enforcement agencies, both local and federal, and that is including Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, Tampa City Police, the Secret Service, Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Homeland Security.
The military now has the authority. The military now has the authority to send people to Guantanamo, for God's sake.
Oh, of course. And remember, everybody has to keep in mind the clean zone means that you are not allowed to exercise your freedom of assembly. The clean zone means you're not allowed to express your freedom of speech. However, it does not inhibit or prohibit you from expressing your freedom of press, which is one of the things that Comrade Al and I are going to get working on. Is we're going to start printing propaganda. But the thing is that
start printing the truth propaganda.
The truth propaganda, la verdad siempre, hasta la victoria.
And the clean zone is just a police state zone, really.
Yeah, in reality, that's what people have to see this as. Basically, they're drawing a fine line in the sand. They're saying, okay, here's the center of the city, and we're telling you low-life occupies or any of you other Monacos that if you come within our little center of the city, then you will be subject to arrest because we said so, because we sold out our principles and the city for the interest of getting the Republican National Convention here because we want to make sure it caters to the fascists.
Those that were applying, at least the ones to my knowledge, for this lottery, in order to get permission to occupy some parks, were not from Occupy Tampa or Occupy Wall Street. They were actually Democratic unions.
Exactly.
However, there are some remaining members of Occupy that are associated with the Democrat or those unions. So it's kind of mixed up. It's hard to distinguish.
Well, remember, what these people are going to also try to do, like the lower elements, because there's a very high, wonderful element that's still brilliant and wonderful in strategic reserve of the Occupy. You and I know that, unfortunately, a lot of these people left in November, December, and January, and so on and so forth because they got disenchanted. This is the chance for these people to come out of their slumber, like it's like a bear coming out of hibernation.
Let me tell you one thing, Tommy. Mm-hmm. One instance I just remembered when I was over in Connecticut, because I used to be with Occupy over there as well, and I was in a meeting actually with a guy, I forget his name, but he ran for president of the United States with the Green Party, and it was a meeting of some Democrats, some Green Party, some Independents, and of course some occupiers, right? So I was at the meeting and I spoke a little bit because it was like an open discussion, and I was talking about how the NDAA is worse than the Patriot Act, how Obama's laws are even worse to an extent that Bush's were. And you could see some of people's faces like they were in shock, because some of them were Democrats, but, they were really disputing what I was saying. And, of course, the host, the guy from the Green Party, was agreeing with me. But at the end of the discussion, I walked up to a girl and I said, do you support Occupy? She said, no. And I said, what group are you affiliated with? She said, I'm a Democrat. And I said, you know what? I respect you. Because I have a whole lot more respect for a Democrat who's going to tell me to my face that they don't support Occupy than one of these, co-opters that come into the movement and that smile and say they support you and then stab you in the back.
Exactly.
So I really can respect people that disagree with me. As long as there's not any hypocrisy about it, Yeah,
because at least there's principles. At least they have principles, or at least the dignity to just say it to your face. Because for me, the only thing that it is when you have special interest groups is they're basically there for they're profiteers. It's the same thing that Occupy is fighting, which is lobbyists and corporate personhood. This is the same fucking thing, but in a revolution. And who sends these people? Either institutions that are part of corporate personhood, or these are people that the feds are sending in. That's the other factor. But, the main thing is that these people have interest to see the Occupy fail, one way or another, but their gains or their goals and objectives to be achieved, like SCIU.
Even if Occupy ceases to exist, they will always go about trying to end real activism because they are more interested in little reforms here or there. They don't want a full-fledged revolution.
No, because what they want is they want what they want, and what they want is the only thing that matters. Everything else is not secondary, it's not thirdly, it is irrelevance. And those people that work to try to achieve their goals are expendable because Occupy is basically Operation Human Shield for Service Employees International Union. That's all it is. It's a human shield to get their goals and objectives done. That's all it is. Speak the truth, and because all SEIU has done so far is just try to use occupiers to get its goals and objectives done, but in reality, all SEIU does is it tries to use the occupier for its personal gain, like numerous other.
Well, let me tell you my own personal experience with SEIU a little bit. They gave us 3 buses that represented all the SIU and occupiers from Massachusetts. 3 buses full of people to go to DC's National GA back in December.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, okay, when we got word, I believe there's people from Miami there as well.
I wasn't invited, but yes.
We were with Occupy Boston, and we got a standing ovation in front of the Washington Monument, which I filmed, because we were one of the last remaining occupies. And while we were there were so many occupies that were shut down. There was, I believe, Philadelphia, Hawaii. I mean, you have people from all over, and their occupies were being shut down because they were losing presence on camp because a lot of them went off to D.C. Do you think this is all coincidental? So then after that, we got word that the mayor of Boston wanted to close down our camp. So we wanted to go back early. And the first warning we got, we didn't take serious enough. The next day, we're like, we got to go back soon. So finally, we were able to convince some of the SEIU guys to give us one of the 3 buses to go back. But the rule was you could only bring people from Occupy Boston. So people from Occupy Philly and other occupies that wanted to get out of D.C., or wanted to come to show solidarity with us, they had to go carpool and they had to take a plane. They had to find another way to go there. Yeah. So the SEIU, it's like they supported us, but they only, they only supported us just a little bit with one little bus and with just people from Boston,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, too, is remember, a lot of these things, like, for example, like when the raid happened in Miami, when the FBI raid happened in Miami, it was convenient that the SEIU same jackleg, Muhammad Malik, who now has his own little radio show down in Miami, that he showed up within 2 hours. He was one of the Facebook admins, and this is one of the chaps that went out of his way to pretend like he was not involved in it, and then he was. He's a provocateur. He was having people bounce off police shields, but at the same time jumping out of the way when people
Tommy,
getting arrested.
We have a caller, and we're like 8 minutes left. So let me just see who this person is. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, is that me?
Yes, is this you?
Yes, my name is Hugh. I'm calling from Virginia.
Oh, welcome, Hugh.
Yes, and it's important to have the facts correct. That's wonderful that you're doing that, and I'm standing on my own truth and just looking to get information flowing. If you have interaction with occupiers globally, that would be wonderful. If I can give you my name, you may find some very interesting things on the Internet.
Well, no, excellent. Now, are you involved in the Occupy movement, my friend?
I'm a disabled senior citizen. I'm pretty much homebound, but I'm changing the world from my dining room table, and I have some interesting things that I'm looking to get out there, the basics, and get this presidential campaign on the right track and have what the people's needs come to the forefront instead of all this gibberish that we keep getting and agendas.
Well, who do you support for president?
Neither one of the two that are in the Democratic or Republican Party, that's for sure. Yeah. I actually have a friend who's a write-in candidate for president. He has common sense at least, and he's a wonderful humanitarian. His site is LightParty, LIGHTPARTY.com, and he's also the founder and director of the San Francisco Medical Research Foundation under the health portion of his site. It's a huge database of all kinds of very valuable holistic medical information that could be of value to people that want to get off the drugs and take an alternative path.
What's your opinion about the stage that Occupy is in right now, regardless of Occupy RNC? Like, how do you see Occupy moving?
It is raising the consciousness level, and it's all about really, when you get down to brass tacks, it's really spirituality, and we're all here eventually to come to the understanding that we're all connected, we're all one, and it's unconditional love that we have to come to. we will reincarnate and keep coming back until we learn that lesson. But there's no need for these wars. They're all manipulations. Since the beginning of time, it's been control, conquer, and divide. But when we can learn that we are all spiritual beings, that we have unlimited creativity and powers, that's what they're afraid of, and that's why they keep throwing us into states of fear and jerking us all over the place and playing games with us. But that's why I'm standing in my truth. So if I'll give you my name, and again, you can see all kinds of stuff on the internet.
Yes, certainly.
Hugh.
You can find us on Facebook as well.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put it on Facebook.
I have that. People have put it on for me, but I don't use any of the tools. I'm totally information-oriented. All I have is a web browser on my cell phone. I don't email or do Facebooks or any of that, but there is some of that on the internet.
Yeah, but Hugh, definitely put your contact information on the air, and at least we'll throw it on our things and pass it around. Right.
It's Hugh, Hugh. Last name is Traulsen, T like Tom, RAULSEN as in Nancy. And one site, if you put a .com after my name, click on historical articles. When you get to that site, you'll see a front page Wall Street Journal article from back in 1983 where I exposed the former federal government bureaucrat for fraud. Indirectly, it eventually resulted in the resignation of Jim Wright from Speaker of the House in shame, the third highest office in the country. You'll see the original memo that I activated when I saw things weren't quite right, plus other attachments. And the last item on there is actually a letter from President Obama to me related to the economy dated July 7, 2009, which I responded to and followed up numerous times without one word back from the administration. In my response, I pointed out that I have no-risk strategies that are actually a strategic intelligent enhancement that will allow any business the opportunity to expand and diversify to an unlimited degree in any field and create jobs and opportunities at the same time. It's totally transparent, highly ethical, and moral. Do you think that way may be why I'm not hearing back from Washington?
Probably. Anything that's ethical or moral, you could be bet your bottom dollar that
that's considered controversial. But thank you, Hugh, so much. We'll make sure that info gets out on the airwaves.
Yes, and feel free next time we have the show to also give us a call, Hugh.
Yeah, I'm all over the place, and it's bringing together the networks to understand our basics. At least we can all agree that our liberties are being taken away from us, but we can take them back. But if we do it in a whole new paradigm, because they don't understand unconditional love, what we have to do is laugh and love the ones that are in office out and love the right ones in.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We have 2 minutes. Thank you so much, Hugh.
Thank you very much, Hugh.
Yeah, we have Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. No, that's excellent. At least we got a very intelligent person on the line. And Al, to finish up this part, I think.
Well, listen, I'm saying just in case we have 2 minutes, but it should go into 15. But let's, give a couple points left in case it cuts out. Go right ahead.
Well, at least on my end, we have to see the enormous consequences of our actions if we do not take action within the next 3 to 6 months. If we just spontaneously allow to come into fruition this micro little police state here in Tampa, uncontested and unchallenged, okay? And when I say challenged, I don't mean we have to get up in arms. I mean we literally have to fight for our right to party. It's going to set a precedence that next, they're going to go from, DEFCON 4 in New York, where they have their little mini police state now, to DEFCON 2 like it was back in 9/11, but they're going to do that in every city in the nation. I mean, we have to say no to the police state. We have to say no to having, our rights infringed upon. We have to say no to them trying to make us unable to be enjoying those constitutional freedoms that our forefathers died and sacrificed their lives to be able to do. And, Comrade Al, I mean, the main thing I'm looking for is just to illustrate this point that everybody has to get that in their mind, that you have to stand up and be counted, that you're either on the side of the just or the unjust, but there cannot be any in between, you see?
And those people who talk about how things are gray all the time, some things are gray, but other things are black and white. I mean, there are things that are simple that the politicians like to make complex. They say that the revolutionary makes the complex simple, and the politician makes the simple complex. And ultimately, the truth will make the complex simple. You know, it's right or wrong. And we can live in an ideal world of right or wrong. It's not like, oh, but let's, you know, be a realist and it's complex. I mean, you can be a realist, but at the same time, you can be an optimist and dream for that better world and help to make that better world a reality.
Yes, and that's very, very true. It's a fundamental thing in this world to appreciate and enjoy freedom of thought and freedom of expression before anything, but the freedom to live, you know, and not be oppressed is an essential thing in this world, and that thing will be taken away from us if we don't try to protect it. And that's essentially what you and I and those comrades of ours who are going to join us in arms, locked in arms, are fighting against when cometh the fascists into town in August.
You know what's interesting is that because when I used to have Blog Talk, because, you know, I stopped using Blog Talk for a while, it would show the 15 minutes, but now it just says recording left, but I assume it's still recording. But let's just talk for another minute or so and then let the people go.
Okay, excellent. Well, Comrade Al, I mean, the main thing we want to put across to the people is at the moment we're, you know, currently just on social networks. You know, Occupy.RNC is on Twitter. On Facebook, we're Occupy RNC. You can tell us because we have crazy red letters and we have, you know, silver things. But on YouTube, both Comrade Al and myself, I'm Kentucky Colonel Thomas C. Parisi, the madman from Kentucky, as some call it. But you can find me on Facebook. Everybody's welcome at any time to hit us up. Lovers or haters, feel free to call us. And one thing I did like that Hugh did mention was, you know, along the lines of reincarnation, you and I believe heavily in karma, the actual karma. And the one thing is that, you know, we play our cards right with what we're going to do here, you know, so far as a whole, as a group, as an entity, the Occupy. It will really renew people's faith, you know, in what we're trying to do, and not just, you know, what they've seen on Fox News, you know. And as Hugo Chavez says, the only thing he and I agree on is that Fox News, the people who watch it have a type of poison in their mind, you know. So, comment now.
A lot of things to agree on, but let me tell you this. What was I got to say? Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah. No worries.
Going on and on. Okay, now I remember what I was going to say. It had to do with Hugh's sect. You were talking about Hugh as well. I mean, his call was brief, was profound. He's talking about spirituality. But one of the things that he said that I'm not clear on is that he was talking about wars in regards to Occupy. Now I'm trying to figure out if he was talking about foreign wars abroad or wars at home among different occupies, because that's also getting known now that there's been a lot of internal conflict.
Well, just besides that, I believe
we need to get away from the internal conflict, but at the same time, we have to recognize the differences between you know, an activist and a non-activist, somebody who's opportunist.
Yeah, I believe he was speaking of war in general, not just what they refer to, the young people refer to as the military-industrial complex, but an eon's age thing of profiting by the destruction of the fellow man. That's the thing I believe he was referring to, which it manifests itself both in our internal political turmoil inside the Occupy, but as well, you know, country against country, nation against nation, East versus West. You see, and that's something that the Occupy at least shows and exemplifies is the unity between people. A true and real occupiers and an occupy, not oculies, as we've become, you know, very, very romantically familiar with at points. All right, Tommy,
you take care, man.
All right, throw on some Biggie, and next time people are welcome to call in.
But I hope to do another show next week, because I do about a show a week for my show.
Well, hopefully we're going to be throwing on the Occupy RNC one as well. Comrade Al usually throws on, but make sure to leave your number. Yeah, make sure to throw your live telephone number out so people know what to call in next time. And Comrade Al, it's a pleasure for you to have me on your show, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, we still got a caller in. That was good. I opened up the chat box, but yeah, I could give out the number next time.
All right, my friend. Well, Witchy Tom is going to be signing off. This is the terrible Kentucky Colonel Thomas C. Parisi, the infamous man of Occupy Miami, the Occupy gangster, signing off and looking forward. Comrade Al, you have a pleasant evening, and all my comrades out there, rock on.
1, 2. Check me out right here, yo. Need to turn the track up a little bit for me. All up in my ears. The mic is loud, but the music is loud. Yeah. Now the mic is low now.